think it's a hot water heater. It's from 1998. So I think some stuff got ruined, but not a lot. And a lot of it's in bins, so I think we're fine.
What our goal was is to help people survive the night, because there are lots of other solutions that need to come and other projects that need to come. Low barrier shelter needs to be a priority. Affordable and safe housing needs to be a priority. But this winter, what we could do to help people be a little safer in this really unsafe reality of sleeping outside in the winter was to provide staffing who could check in with you, who could provide sleeping bags, who knew where you were sleeping, and people felt safe sharing that information with them, so that if it was a really cold night, we can go and check in and make sure you're still alive. And we've already had people die through the winter. That is a reality in our community for folks who are sleeping outside, and that's tragic.
I generally try and have socks, mitts, or gloves and toques, as well as hand warmers, as well as information about us, some toiletries, etc., some snacks of all kinds, depending on what we get in. I got lots of waters, I got some protein drinks, and we're going to make our rounds and try and find out who may need some of this.
We have a team of 5 outreach workers during the day, and then we have an overnight drop-in space that we rent out, and there's 7 people working there, and just able to connect with so many individuals that are either unsheltered or not, and not able to access space in shelter at this time.
I've made coffee. I'm going to fill this up with coffee. I'm going to get fresh cream and fresh sugar, a bunch of cups, and then it's just so helpful to meet people and to offer hot coffee. And when I'm dressing it, how do you want it? Double, double, triple, triple, 4x4. I have a chance to interact. And at the very least, here's the delicious coffee.
The team carries around huge backpacks, which are just loaded with things that we think that folks would need out on the street. The hot packets that people put in their gloves and their feet. That'll like keep the cold, keep the frostbite away. And we bring snacks and blankets, and definitely tents and sleeping bags have been a way that people can be self-sufficient.
I always like leaving the office. The office always feels hectic.
COVID, I think, has really shown us and exacerbated what homelessness looks like for a lot of folks. And there is a lot of despair. I think I see a lot of desperation and despair more than ever before now. I think that the reality of moving into housing is difficult to imagine for the people that we serve now. I think many people have given up hope after trying to find housing many times, going to viewings and getting rejected, not having enough money to be able to get by, having a hard time finding food, having a hard time finding community, feeling like they are not part of Peterborough, feeling like they're not welcome. All of that is very difficult, and I cannot even imagine how difficult it is for the people living it. Even at the stopgap, which I am really grateful that we're able to provide a place so that people can warm up and hopefully not die this winter, it's not a place to sleep. And I can feel people's need to lay down and rest and feel safe doing that for a few hours every night, and that's not something that we're providing right now. So yeah, a lot of heaviness and hopelessness and isolation.
Oh, so I'm relatively new at this, but seeing how many people use the stopgap, it's a testament to how necessary it is, how important it is, because this clientele has nowhere else to go. Often they burnt their bridges or gotten in trouble or kicked out or whatever, but they desperately need a spot that's warm. That's like and they got it, stopgap. It's a Band-Aid. I don't think it's a full-time solution, but it's easy to see how beneficial it is and how necessary it is right now. And I think part of the job is to hop from the stopgap to the one roof, to the mall, to the library, to a tent, hopefully to some friend's house, to have a shower maybe, hopefully. But I think it's kind of a wandering life from warm spot to warm spot to warm spot. I don't know.
Stopgap is an overnight drop-in center space that we rent from the Bridge Youth Center, opening up at 12 midnight until 6 a.m. It's not a shelter. It's a place for people to go in, warm up, have a coffee, get some rest. There are spaces to like sit and relax and close your eyes for a couple hours if you need to. And there again, we're making connections with folks, and people are opening up to us and trusting us with their stories and their life experiences. So the first thing we do is try and get these folks into shelter if there's space available, if they feel safe to do so, and if they don't have restrictions. So there's lots of obstacles to overcome there, and there's often times where people can't get into shelter or won't get into shelter. So then we carry on through the night and just give them a warm space to be in.
I'm just getting my routine, and I'm going to make a stop up here and hopefully see the same people. I approach their tent like it's their house. Sometimes they don't want me around, so no problem. I'll just say hi. But I have stops that I'll check on, some hot spots.
It is overwhelming and distressing to me to witness the way people have to survive. And I think that's true for a lot of us in our community. And so one of the ways that we manage those feelings is by trying to hide the fact that people are living in extreme poverty and homelessness, living outside through a Canadian winter. I think one way forward needs to be to identify and acknowledge that people are sleeping outside right now. And that because we can't see them doesn't mean that they're not there. And so if we are able to really come face to face with the fact that that's how our neighbors are living in our community, and we can decide that we need to do something about that because that is not okay with us, that would be one first step towards moving forward. And I understand that that is very difficult because I have those same feelings of feeling overwhelmed and in despair when I don't know how to look at that reality and know what to do with it. And I think that's where we need to start.
Tried to move this and get it up on some skids.
I saw that you moved it. How are you?
My pegs were frozen in the ground, so now that they're broken, the whole thing is fucking collapsing.
Do you need more pegs, or poles rather? Because I don't think I have tents, but I think I have poles.
Yeah, I went to one city yesterday and asked for a tent.
And?
There wasn't any.
Okay.
I found a pole actually, which was really funny, up in a fucking tree, believe it or not, and I have it right here.
You go find it?
It seemed to be about 14 feet long. It said Eureka on it.
Oh.
Yes.
So,
it would have been nice to find the rest of it.
do you need, what do you need, a tent?
Very much so. Very much so. We're like, pigs in a blanket in here. It's
Well,
warm.
that's warm.
It's warm, absolutely.
Tent.
So we have a resource room where we process all of our donations, and people, the generosity of this community has been staggering. It's one of my favorite parts of this job is just accepting donations, and I'm able to show such gratitude for the folks in this community who have really stepped up. So people can come to one city between 10 and 4 every day during the week and access the clothing closet. as well as get support, accessing housing, accessing services. Again, it's a vehicle of connection.
Apple juice or applesauce?
Yes.
And a granola bar?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And then water?
Yes. Actually, no, I think I'm good with water.
Cool.
Yeah, no, we're good with water. Sorry.
But
we
I
grabbed
do
some
have
last night.
socks.
God, that bag must be so
Yeah,
heavy.
it's pretty
Holy crap.
badass. It's a pretty cool bag.
Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
do you need more?
Another fair for chat would be great.
Yeah, careful. There's
Yeah,
that
thank
plastic doodad.
Oh, this coffee tastes so good.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers to you too. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate everything.
Absolute pleasure. And I think the real mission is to find the apartment.
Yes.
And I'm on it with Michael too.
Yeah.
Or with
I was talking to my worker just last Friday, and because I'm picky, right? Like I don't want to be in a trap house. I don't want to be where there's drugs.
No.
I'm 3 years recovering, so
Yeah, awesome.
I can't be around that.
No, don't.
Yeah.
Housing is clearly the answer to our homelessness crisis. We need people to have access to housing. We need to treat it like it's a human right. But we can't talk about housing as a human right while we treat people who aren't housed as if they're criminals just for not having somewhere to live. So we can't be saying people deserve a place to be while we're standing on their necks.
So I'm finding my job really interesting, and I'm unsure often as to the best way to do it. And I think often you're responding to crisis. So I showed up to meet some friends that I had met, and the police were asking that their tent be moved. So they were pretty cooperative, so I helped pack and clean up and orchestrate the cleanup, and then tried to move them. But it was great to be able to speak with the police, because I work for one city and they were cool with us and they were quite nice, as well as to be able to serve the people we're serving and they could deal with me as opposed to the police. I think it helped everybody. And still wasn't fun for everybody. Moving's not people's favorite, but it certainly helped. And it was a weird day.
So when I say criminalize, what I'm saying is when we take people's activities or the activities that people engage in and make them illegal, making them criminals by doing it, right? And so when we take something like someone needs to put up a tent because they have nowhere to sleep, and then we make tenting illegal. It's not that by definition setting up a tent is illegal. We made it illegal. So we criminalized those people because we thought by making it criminal, that was the best way to deal with tenting.
What can I say? It's messed up, like.
It's a hard go.
Yeah, like it's hard to say. I'm in this spot, but I don't want to be, but I'm here. I've got a brain injury and stuff, and yeah, it definitely changes my outlook on life.
Yeah. Can I ask what is it you would want?
An apartment I can afford. That's all I fucking want. Can I get it? No.
Yeah. It seems like such a simple.
Yeah, and the government's not doing nothing to help us. They give us so much money, and then anything over that amount comes out of our spending money.
With outreach and stopgap ending on March 31st, I have real concerns. I have concerns. This was part of our concern in even starting the programs, is it's really hard to start something and then take it away. And we have very real concerns. Are we doing more harm than good by doing that? I think that we are going to see, again, people camping, people tenting, and people in a constant cat and mouse game with those who enforce the bylaws.
I think one of the things that running outreach and the stopgap drop-in can provide us with is witnessing the reality that there are so many people who are homeless and unsheltered. And so we are not solving any issues past March 31st, but we have the information, We have stories we're collecting about what it looks like to survive in this system, in this community right now, and we can advocate for decriminalizing the survival of people who are sleeping outside. We can advocate for housing programs that can support them. We can advocate for changes in the way that our systems work in Peterborough. So it's not much, and I'm worried about people past March 31st because the cold doesn't end there, and even through the summer, it doesn't make the despair any less. People are still outside. Now we have the responsibility of the knowledge, and we can use that to advocate.